Loud noise. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Amelia. Sorry, I had forgotten that I had the volume on mute there. That's what the loud noise was. I had turned it volume on. Good morning, Kevin Brand, all the way from South Carolina. Good morning. I hope you had a pleasant week, along with Amelia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh boy, I'm shooting in 720p. What? What the hell happened to my 4K? That's YouTube for you. I bet you this is grainy as hell. It's 720p. Yeah, it's a crapshoot. I mean, my camera is 4K, shoots in 4K, and sometimes when you stream using an external service, YouTube just automatically just picks something to either 10 K, or 4 or 3 or 2K. Good morning, friendly talker, lemon pie, Gemma, Gayla. Good morning, Gayla from Sacramento and Sprinkled Donut again. Welcome this morning to everyone. Sorry about the picture quality. That I'm streaming on my end in 4K, and YouTube apparently, in their infinite wisdom, decided that I can have 720p actual streaming. So if the picture quality sucks, that's YouTube. I'll have to go in and look at it afterwards, but I can't do anything about it now. Good morning, Cement Shoes. Kevin Brands in South Carolina says it's going to be 96 in South Carolina today. Today they're looking at 74 here where I am. The picture quality on your end is crystal clear. Well, that's good. I hope it's clear for everyone. But I'm looking at the actual data here, and it's showing that the volume level on the graph to make sure that it's not like spiking too high. But it says that I'm streaming in 720p as opposed to 2K, 3K, or 4K Ultra. That's YouTube on their end. But I'm glad that you're enjoying it, though, and that the picture's good. I hope the sound is not too low or not too high for you as well. It's fine on Cement Shoes' screen as well. Well, that's good. Hope you all got your coffee or your tea or whatever you need. Dee Dee, good morning, Dee Dee. Picture looks great on your side, Dee Dee. Well, that's good. I hope you had a pleasant week, Dee Dee. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. Sound is perfect. Thanks. Well, good. Well, I just know what YouTube is telling me here on the screen on my side. So you see the screen here with me in this picture. So actually, I'm pointing to my left, but it looks like I'm pointing to my right. So I'll go this way. Over here off the screen, I have another bar right here that is telling me my streaming analytics, how the strength of the actual signal is of me streaming out, which is 4 out of 4 bars. So back, kind of like Chuck Woolery, be back in 2 and 2. I am 4 out of 4 on bars of strength of stream. And volume, it shows the peak level, which is a bar across it, and occasionally, sometimes when I pronunciate things, it's bouncing just a little bit above, but it's staying below. And then it shows me the actual streaming on YouTube's end. It says I'm streaming in 4K from my camera, from this camera. This is a Canon camera, and it's showing that YouTube is transmitting it in 720p. Normally they match up, but For some reason, it's not today. But I'm glad that it's showing, at least on your end, good. Maybe you just have a better definition, and connection to it. I have no idea. That's just what it is. That's on my end. Picture and sound quality is good for Amelia as well. Good morning, lemon pie. Hello to you and to the rest of the chat. Hope I didn't miss anybody. All right. Well, this morning's coffee brew is going to be a little bit different than my normal. I don't have any crime cases that I want to cover today. What I wanted to do is kind of give everybody a look behind the camera, if you will, on why am I changing the Saturday morning coffee brew and how it's actually structured, when it airs, and everything else. So I want to be as transparent as I can to everyone. Now, I'm not giving up on making the coffee brew show. It's not going to be every single Saturday. I'm shooting for every other weekend doing the coffee brew show, and that is because one, it aligns more with the audience that I currently have. Not all of my audience can make it every single Sunday or every single Saturday. I mean, and also additionally, a lot of my audience and current subscribers have said that the content that I was currently covering, yeah, these cases were more interesting to me. And because I didn't do follow-up videos for every single one, they're like, "Hey, I'm interested in that," but you never did a follow-up video, standalone video for it. So I'm trying to rework it in such a way that for the Saturday morning show, trivia is going to stay the same time, same day, every Sunday. It's just a coffee brew show, this stream that you're watching right now. So with that said, good morning, Tina. Good morning and welcome. Honesty. If you don't enjoy transparency, this isn't the show or content for you. Why are you changing the morning show format? This question has been asked to me countless times over the course of the last 2 weeks since I let everyone know that I was actually changing the format of the show. Statistics on the morning show between 2020 and 2023 is what we're going to look at, and everything that we're going to talk about here is pertaining to that, because obviously it's only into the first 4 months of 2024. Live interaction has declined 38% over the past 48 months alone. Now we're looking at just live interaction. Those who maybe you don't see them in the actual chat itself, but they are logging in and they are actually watching the show, but they're not interacting. But people logging in has dropped 38% over the last 48 months. Continuous, slide downward. And some of that is for the time, the day, what people have going on, early in the mornings on Saturdays. It's a myriad of different reasons. The cost to produce the show increased while the revenue declined year over year. And I'm not trying to give you a whole humdrum, poor me story here. I'm giving you the actual facts behind all of this. The time the show aired live was noted as the main reason viewers were watching the show hours or after it was live or the following day. Watching Saturday morning, coffee brew Sunday mornings when they had time and they didn't have to deal necessarily with going to work or children or they have other activities, errands that they need to run. Some spent their Saturday mornings listening to the show and not being able to actually watch it, but maybe they were cleaning their bathrooms or cleaning their house or whatever it might have been, or driving. So they listened to it then. Good morning, Juicy Jules. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. Revenue. In 2022, I earned $104.18 producing the coffee brew show. That is for the entire year, ladies and gentlemen. That is 100% of the AdSense and Super Chat that I received for doing 50 shows. So on average, I earned $2.08 per show. Now, that's for 2022. In 2023, I earned from $104, it dropped to $32.09 for doing the Coffee Brew show. Again, that is in total for the entire year, including AdSense and Super Chats. The average dropped to 76 cents per show. My actual cost, just counting the basics and not including a penny for my time, the average cost to produce a show, Coffee Brew, per month is $7.48 or $1.87 per episode. Some of the costs that are included, and again, this has nothing to do with paying me for my time to put the show together: electricity, copies, paper, coffee, wear and tear on equipment, editing software, streaming software, taxes, and miscellaneous equipment. On top of that, when every time somebody pays, gives me a super chat or a super thanks, I still have to pay taxes on 100% of what you gave, even though YouTube and PayPal takes a cut. That's the way the US government screws every single creator. They say, this is what you got. I know you paid this out in taxes. You need to figure that out for yourself, but you still have to pay taxes on it. Hate it or love it. I love producing this morning show and hanging out with everyone, catching up on our lives from around the world. You have to understand this is a business that I'm running, though. Even after slashing my expenses to next to nothing and just keeping the very basics, I was still losing money. That's insanity, for the entire project, which is the morning show. Of creating content and entertaining the community, I keep falling farther and farther behind while at the same time never gaining any foothold and growing an audience. True, I am at fault for a lot of this, and I'm being honest here. I shot myself in the foot by slashing the budget and cutting segments that people enjoyed to try to balance the books while not seeing, not seeing I was alienating a large section of viewers and supporters. So what's next, you might ask? And good morning, Kitty Q. Great question. I wish I really had a concrete answer to the question since it was asked 2 weeks ago. Two things are certain that I won't be happening in the future. One, I won't be selling my soul to advertisers or forcing you to sign up for some stupid background search service that is 100% free if you know how to use the internet. Two, I won't be asking you for a dime of your money to support my habitual desire to run a morning show on YouTube. You have no idea just how close the coffee show, Coffee Brew, and the trivia, night came to being moved behind a paywall in 2024. A paywall is a service where you have to pay to access the content, and I was very heavily recruited to move the content to a site. In the end, I said no and walked away from it. And that's the absolute truth. I was looking at ways to actually, not only, stop alienating, and offer the content that people wanted for the, Coffee Brew and for trivia, but and trying to figure out how do I make this even just pay for itself, because all of this costs money. Every creator has to come up with the money somehow. I can't keep on creating content for free for everybody, but at the same time, I'm never going to ask you for your money. So I have to balance the two, and figure out how to, stand on my own 2 feet and still offer the content that everybody wants. And at the same time, I'm making more money over here, and doing other things for other people behind the scenes. Maybe it's researching, an individual, or researching a case, where people are paying me to actually do that. I mean, that's what I'm best at. I mean, I'm terrible at this interaction part. I know that. I'm not the best looking individual to be put on the screen. nor do I sound the best, but I enjoy this, so I do it. Amelia is listening. Thank you. So, in a nutshell, I'm trying to find a way to balance out, everything, and come up with, a show, a format, a time, everything for the Saturday morning show that's going to work for more people. During the actual Saturday morning show, like right now, you will see that there's 18 people who are currently watching this live right now. Of those 18 people, we might get nine, maybe 50% of the people who are watching to actually comment, say hello, and partake in the actual stream. An hour, 2 hours from now, go back and click on the live stream and look at how many people have watched it 2 hours from right now. It's amazing. And it doesn't matter if I move it from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock my time, which would be, 1 o'clock on the East Coast. It doesn't matter if I move it 2 hours ahead. I see the same bump in people who will watch it 2 hours after every single time. Is there a way to appease everyone? No, there's never going to be a way to appease everyone. I'm just trying to find a balance, somewhere in there that's going to work for everyone. 8 a.m. in the morning, my time, 11 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States, works the best for me. But does it work the best for you to, tune in, at 8 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever time it is in your time zone right now? That's where I'm trying to balance everything out. And the reason why, the Coffee Brew Show is not going to be every single Saturday. If you're flooding the market and keep on doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity. If you keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So I'm trying to find a balance between not flooding the market too much with the same type of content and the same thing over and over again where nobody wants to tune in and watch it, and also finding a way to make it pay for itself without telling you, hey, tune into my service, that is a background check, where you have to pay $19.95 to do something that is absolutely free on the internet if you know how to use just a simple Google search. So it is 4:15 p.m. in the UK. Well, does 4:15 p.m. work for you, Gemma? And good morning, Kimberly. Find the content in your channel to be professional, educational, with much dedication on your part. Well, thank you, Gayla. I'm trying to find the best way to offer the best content, and not everybody wants to tune in for the same thing. And I need to also let everyone know I'm not going at this alone and trying to figure out what the best method is for the Coffee Brew Show, going forward. I have a couple of people that I'm working with behind the scenes where we're looking at not only the statistical data for the last 4 years from 2020 to 2024, including everything, but we're looking at where is the peak of interest in the actual morning show. Should it be an hour long? Should it only be a 30-minute show? Should it be 45 minutes? What segments within each show has the most watch and the most feedback, comments, questions? We're looking at everything. And these are people who do this for a living, for actual TV. They've done it for TV shows. They've done it for morning talk radio. They've done it on the AM, FM dial. These are people who are professionals at this, and we're looking at it all. Now, these people just happen to be, close friends of mine who have this experience, who are helping me, do this. So I'm not paying for it. Obviously, I'm not paying for it because I ain't got any money to do that. Bounce around until you find your niche. Kate, I'm not going to bounce around, at like content. Niche wise, I know exactly where I belong and I know exactly what lane to stay in. So it works perfectly fine for me, Kate. live show wise, I'm just trying to figure out for this show, Saturday morning coffee brew. Sunday nights I do trivia, and I have a great audience. Half of the audience tunes in on Patreon. The other half of the audience tunes in on YouTube Live. So I'm doing great there. And my Monday through Friday content that I'm putting out, I mean, I'm in my lane and I know my niche, and I'm having great feedback from that. So like just as an example, I have maybe 18. Well, I did it earlier. I got 15 now who are here watching this live stream. Yesterday, I had 12,000 people tune in to watch my video yesterday, and that was in the first like 6 hours. 12,000. In the video before that, another 15, 20,000 for per video that I put out. So I'm doing good there. I've got a whole handful of videos that have been released in the last 2 years where I've got 600 to 800,000, views per video. So yeah, I don't think that that's the issue. And so I need to bounce around until I find my niche. But I understand, and I do appreciate the feedback. Time wise, yeah, best bracket for you and your audience. That's what I'm trying, to find, Kate. Well, thank you, Gemma. I appreciate the super chat. Love you, Will, and really appreciate what you do and dedication for your research and your incredible man and friend. I look forward and love you. Well, I love you too, Gemma, and I wish the best for you. But no one ever has to give me a dime. I've been able to make this profitable for myself for over 6 years. And this is the one tiny little part of everything that I do that is not profitable or paying for itself. And, my wife looked at it this way, and this was her feedback, that she gave me on this. She said, when you walk into McDonald's, which I never do because I hate fast food, when you walk into McDonald's, does McDonald's make money on everything that they sell? They lose money on every single order of French fries, but they make a killing on every single soda and coffee that they sell, or drink that they sell. So the drink pays for the fries and covers that cost. So maybe I should look at it that way. That was her feedback to me about this, and why this segment of my tiny segment is not, working out. But again, at the same time, it's insanity to continue to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So that's why I changed and I'm changing up the Saturday morning coffee brew. Yeah, will it stay every other weekend from here on out? No, just until we're done looking at everything and figuring out what works and what hasn't worked in the past. Going through all the data and then trying out maybe, I'll add something else to each segment and see how it works for the audience, if they enjoy it, if they interact with it. Well, you know how much I adore you and how much you support my autism journey. Thank you for being there. Well, thank you, sweetheart. You have no idea, if you guys have not subscribed to Gemma's journey, you need to go check out her content. She is remarkably brave to be able to put herself out there, and the hatred, and the people who don't understand, who she is and what her life story is remarkable. And there is a lot of people out there though who absolutely love Gemma for what she's doing, and she is remarkably brave. And I commend her for everything that she's doing because she's showing people out there who are who have disabilities and saying, look, I have a barrier in life, and I'm not going to let it hold me back. I'm going to triumph over that in my own personal way. So again, if you haven't checked out Gemma's journey, you need to go check it out. I mean, I enjoy it, everything that she does, and I watch everything. I don't get to catch as many of her lives, as I would like, but I really do appreciate everything she does. To value of your audience, the rewards will come. They will, Kate. I'm sure of it. I'll figure it out in short order. It's just one of those things. It's like, you you look at everything and you're like, okay, I mean, I'm definitely gaining in total subscribers. I'm gaining in this area and I'm gaining in that area. But here is where I'm faulting. And I've got to figure out how to stop the fall, in this area. You do super well. Well, thank you. And to Duty Ron, and I'm a super appreciative. Oh, thank you, Gamma. Yes, she is, Amelia. She is definitely a role model. One of these days, my son is going to take over, YouTube and social media. The boy has got a catalog of well over 100 videos that he has already made. Can't show a damn one of them on the internet. Obviously, first off, because he's only 7 years old, and I won't put him out there, or allow him to, exploit himself for views or whatever, because you don't know who the next creep is around the corner who's watching his content. But anyways, and 100% of everything that he makes is copyright protected. Music, videos, everything. But he mashes them all together, music and cartoons, and he is so much better at this at the age of 7, than I will ever be. I sit behind him in a chair, so he's sitting here and he's actually editing his videos, and I just sit there and I'm in awe watching him. He'll have 2 or 3 different editing programs going at the same time for different videos or music, because he doesn't like certain video editing programs for editing music. He likes some others for that, and it's amazing how he can move things together and he makes them blend so they're seamless, so it looks like the cartoon character. Yeah, like for instance, yesterday he was working on a video of Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny he had in German Rammstein, Du Hast, so it looked like Bugs Bunny was actually singing Du Hast in German, and he had it timed, and he was editing, taking out little tiny slices so he could keep Bugs Bunny mouth, moving along to the songs, the song of Du Hast. My son won't listen to Rammstein in English; he only listens to it in German. But he doesn't speak German, but he knows enough of it. He's learned from Rammstein for what it means. I don't like editing, and I want to show real raw content. If that works for you, then stick with it, Gala. Probably a genius level, Gala. He's definitely got talents that I will never have. Gave my daughter a broken iPhone and only a forward facing camera. I'll be damned if she can't override and still make it long form video of her own with her own mind. Well, that's cool, Kate. My son had that we have he has an old LG phone. It's actually in here because he was in here yesterday. He loves to come in here because he'll grab my microphone and damn near blow the speakers out. But anyways, he has an LG phone. It's in here somewhere. I think it's on the shelf over there. But it's got a forward and back camera. But he'll take videos of things, along with that, and then he'll edit himself into the background of like cartoons or um, Blimpy. He'll put himself in Blimpy's videos. And it looks like he's actually there because in my living room he's got a 12-foot by 7-foot green screen in my living room, and he's got 2 professional tripods, and he's got a mic and a mic stand, and he's got the lapel mics. Yeah, Daddy has kind of supported his habit. It's just I can't put any of it out there, for the world to see. But someday he's going to take over the internet. But that's cool that your daughter can do that, Kate. Make long form videos with even a broken phone. You're a tech phobe. even being here on YouTube is a major accomplishment. I always tell people that I'm an analog man living in a digital world. When I started this, my own personal journey of YouTube and making videos, I didn't know anything about computers. Um, I'm not kidding. When I went to work, if my computer wasn't already turned on and I didn't hit the space bar to turn it on, for the screen to come on, I didn't know what to do. I wouldn't, I would just sit there, look at it, and go, how the hell do you turn this thing on? You know, I, I was a supervisor, at that place. I didn't know how to use a computer. I lived, my entire life, and I still do to a large extent. I've got filing cabinets that are filled full of actual paper. Again, an analog man living in a digital world. But over the years of doing this, over the last 6 years, I know a whole lot more about videos and editing and computers and graphics and all this stuff that I never would have figured out, Amelia. I never. I mean, I wasn't a tech phobe, I didn't have a phobia about it, but it just was so foreign to me. Oh, Kate, yeah, but support him by example. You know, none of our children are born, and they don't hand us a manual when they're born. So you do the best you can as a parent, and it's something so in case you don't know the background story, I'll give you a brief little synopsis of my son. My son is autistic. He is on the autism spectrum, and he is speech delayed. He's 7 years of age now, soon to be 8, really soon. And he had right now his vocabulary is picking up, but he's still at about preschool level for actual verbal communication. Now, he's always made some kind of sound that he associates with an object, like this marker would have a sound that he couldn't say the word marker. He gave it a sound. When he said what he wanted to say, he wanted a marker or an apple or whatever. He had a sound that was associated to it in his mind. And making videos was something that originally a occupational therapist that because we've had him in occupational therapy ever since he was diagnosed, being on the spectrum and being of speech delayed. A therapist they had a tablet and they used to try to, they would show him trying to sound out the actual word or sound, letter, and sounding it out. And the moment that she handed him that tablet, excuse me, and he could see himself in the actual camera and it was recording, and he knew that he could hit it and it could actually play back the sound, that he was off to the races, right then and there. And he figured out, I can do this, I can get better, and I can control my environment and I can communicate with the world. And it was because along with that, at that time, for communication, we were teaching him sign language because we didn't know if it was going to be a year, 5 years, or never that he was going to, eventually, be able to start, speaking in a clear, way to be able to communicate with others. And that's a massive issue, especially at 7. I mean, how do you communicate with your friends or your teachers or your parents or anything? You need to communicate, some form of communication. And again, once he figured out that a tablet could record it and he could play it back and he could learn, a new word and then work on spelling, sounding it out, and speaking to it, it was on from there. Yeah. But I mean, that was, he took off like a rocket from that point on. And then he realized, hey, I can overlay a video that I shoot of me jumping off the back of the couch, onto the other one. I can and put the camera over here, and so it looks like I'm flying. He's a boy. He's 7. He's going to do all kinds of stupid things for the next, well, probably 70 years. But and he realized that he could overlay or make videos, and then then he wanted a tripod. He wanted to come in here and make videos, and it just steamrolled from there. He does upload a lot of YouTube videos to YouTube, but they're all on private setting on his mom's YouTube channel. There's probably about 70 videos on there, but again, we can't show any of them because of copyright. My wife's over that threshold. When you're under 100 or under 1,000, mainly you can do anything, with copyrighted material on YouTube. And they won't come back against you and give you a copyright strike. But once you get over that number, that's it. And they'll shut your ass down in a heartbeat, but they don't even notice you really. So tech is a tool for him to grow. It is very much a tech, tech is a tool for him to grow. He knows more about cameras and cell phones, and give you an example, along with that. We had him in early education. This is before preschool age. And he had maybe 2 words, mom and dad, that he was able to say, clear at that point. He figured out at the early child education center where, he's with like 20 other kids, in his class there, and they're all on the spectrum, or they have Down syndrome. And so it's a special thing through what it's called the ARC. And they had tablets there that were all, there's a program on there. It's called PEX, PEX, PEX program. It's basically, it shows you a tile of like, say like a wagon, and it says wagon, and you hit it and it actually says the word to you, wagon. But you can also drag the tiles together to make a sentence like, I would like an apple. And you drag the tiles on the screen, so it would actually say something. So it helped them, build their vocabulary as well. None of the tablets had the internet. Within the first week of my son going to school there, he figured out how to jailbreak every single tablet that they had so they could get onto YouTube. And he would sit in a circle with other kids, and they'd watch Daniel the Tiger videos on YouTube, because he figured out how to go through and jailbreak it. He's like 4, 5 years of age at this point. He knew how to do it for some reason, just by playing with the tablet that he had at home. Does he enjoy communication? Yes and no, Kate. He likes to communicate some when it comes to like one-on-one with another child or an adult. He never makes direct eye contact. He's always looking down or over to the left or the right of you. Now that is a trait that a lot of people who are on the spectrum have. That and you have to think of it from his mind. Inside of his head, he is taking thousands of snapshots of your face, and he knows what your face looks like. So it's overwhelming, overstimulating to him to communicate directly and look at you in the face. When it comes to him communicating with another peer, you put 2 of them, like him and his best friend Tommy, you put the 2 of them next to each other, they will play here and here right next to each other. They can be shoulder to shoulder, and they don't they're playing together, but they're playing in an individual little world. He's playing in his world, he's playing in his world, and then they may pass things back and forth between the 2 of them to play, but they are not necessarily playing together. I mean, you could put a racetrack with the cars on it, one's interested more in the car track and in one car than they are of the other four cars or two cars that are on the track. It's kind of it's hard to explain, but just to say that they're in their own little worlds playing at the same time next to each other, but they're not really playing together. Now that's gotten a little bit better as time has gone on. He wants to play with kids, but and he wants to interact with his peers, but he doesn't want to. He wants everyone to be his friend. Uh, I mean, who doesn't want to have friends? I mean, especially as a child, you want to have friends. You want to play with other kids, but he wants them, and he thinks that every kid should understand what he's doing and why he's doing it. And other kids are like, this is totally foreign to me. I've never seen this before. Good morning, Mike Stevens. Good morning, Mike. Sorry if I missed you earlier. I hope you are having a wonderful week. And kitty Q. Do you still when riding in a car, so it's not having face-to-face pressure, so it makes sense for on the spectrum. Gemma says the friendships are problematic. They are for a lot of those who we know, because me and my wife used to volunteer with the ARC, which is a society, a group of people, a overwhelming, umbrella of group called the ARC, and they don't just deal with adults and teens who are in on the spectrum. It's any barrier to an education, housing, or getting around in society, because society is not made for anyone who is on the spectrum or may have a barrier. Even though there are laws, for wheelchair ramps or access to buildings, we may have laws for that. We don't have laws to say, hey, you know what, you don't have this, or you have this barrier. We'll make accommodations for you. Even though there are laws that say we have to, that schools have to make accommodations, they strip up as soon as there's a budget crisis. The first ones they take the money from is from them. Can I discuss the Sebastian case? It's intriguing. I would, Mike, but I haven't been following it. I really haven't. I would love to talk about this Sebastian case, but unfortunately, it's not one of the cases that I've been following. I've been following Chad Daybell case and the trial and the jury selection that is ongoing, and I have a video coming out on that later on today. I think in a couple hours from now on Chad Daybell. But sorry, Mike. I had an issue in growing up, not autism, but mental barriers. It's hard for anyone with issues. That's the way the world is, Mike. And I'm sorry that you did have issues, as well. Sebastian has autism. Yeah, I'm aware of that part of it, but I just haven't followed the case all that close, Mike. Wish I had. I mean, I followed a little bit of Duty Ron's live stream. You can go. I hate to say that, hey, go check out another channel, but Duty Ron, I know has followed the case pretty closely. Didn't want friends because I found social constructs confusing and stupid. I understand that, Amelia. I still find social constructs confusing and stupid to this day in a lot of ways. I wouldn't call myself antisocial. I like being social. It's that I find myself more at ease and not as overwhelmed, I guess you could say. I don't like. It's not that I don't like large groups. You put me in front of a large group, I mean, it's like a flip of a switch. I can be that that outgoing, energetic person in front of a large audience or a small group. I can be that person, but it's not who I really am. Society thinks disability is a burden. In a lot of ways, Gemma, they definitely do. They definitely do. And it's sad. I think his mom and stepdad hid him a lot. Stepdad hid him alive with some cause. They didn't want him to turn his custody over to his real dad the following week. Yes, I not about Sebastian, Mike, but I saw that the state of Colorado um, and just did away with law that was passed on the books some time back. It's reestablishing, the law was about reestablishing connections between children after divorce and both parents and not alienating one parent. And 99% of the time, it was about not alienating the father and forcing the children to go to the father, even if there was circumstances of abuse in the past. And they would force the children to still have to interact with the father, and they sent them to what they call basically an education class, like for over a weekend. You cannot alienate your father, even though this person may have abused your mother and you growing up, or a month or a year ago, before the divorce. That they finally did away with that in the state of Utah, California, Utah, and Colorado. I think the only three states in the United States that have done away with it, and that is still on the books in a lot of states, across the United States. But they finally just passed that. It was either Utah or Colorado. It was one of the two. I might be getting confused there. Stepdad definitely hit him, um, but not sure why he's missing. I recently did a video on Colorado man who has been jailed for abusing autistic and special needs children. I saw that, Gemma. I did. Well, I don't know if I saw it on your channel, but I did see a video about a was he a school teacher, or he volunteered in some capacity with children. Steph, good morning, Steph. It's 11:46 a.m. Here. I just woke up. Long week, says Steph. Moms get alienated too these days. Now the father's rights means the dad can take custody. Yeah, well, what they need to do, Kate, is they need to sit down in situations of divorce, and not all divorces are amicable, and and where the parents want to act like adults in the situations, and a lot of times divorce, custody of the children, they weaponize it, or one parent will weaponize the situation over the other. And that's where these laws that were not alienating one parent over the other came into effect. And now that they're looking back at it after 20 years of these laws being on the books, they're like, oh shit, we kind of screwed this up, didn't we? But it's taken that long for at least three states so far to realize, what, maybe we didn't do the right thing, because society tends to move in one direction. Maybe they call it progress, but then it goes too far, and then it has to come back to center somewhere in there. And that's we people have always done that, though. We want to pass laws to protect people, and we go to a point, and then we fall back a little bit, and then we go too far, and then we realize that we're hurting more people now than we should have, so they have to come back. My mother loved us, but beat us until we bled. Damn, sorry, Mike. Sorry about that, Mike. Beating isn't always abuse. Never represented my mom. Resented your mother for that. I'll say it here. Steps need not discipline. Block me if you like. Why would I block you? I have no reason to block you, Kate. This is a free society, and as long as you don't, make your comments targeted at another individual or make a racist or homophobic comment, you're free to say whatever you want here. All civility and respectability expressed opinions are welcome. See, as Amelia said. Thank you very much, Amelia. People have to learn when they know better, they do better. If they aren't trying to abuse, you are right. I feel like in this day and time, we know better. We know that we don't have to resort to physical violence to teach. Very good point, Kate. Very good point. All I ever learned from my mother when she struck me or my sisters is that she was a bigger, more powerful individual than we were as children. That's all I ever learned from her when she struck us. That's all I ever learned. I didn't learn that, it wasn't right for me to, not do whatever it was in the speedy nature that she wanted it done or in the way she wanted it done. And there was a correct way or wrong way. I learned that she was bigger and more powerful and therefore she could exert her dominance over us. That's all I learned. I always voice my thoughts here as I feel safe. You are always safe here to express your opinions on anything, Gemma. Can come to grips because it's the children at risk. It is. It's definitely the children at risk. I was spanked when necessary and thankful my parents loved me that much. They always said it hurt them more than me. I know now that was true. I, I'll give you, an example of just how old I am and something that would never fly in today's society. Growing up in elementary school, every single teacher that I can think of, and I've lived in and gone to school in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Montana, Washington State. So in those four states, I attended elementary schools, and every school that I ever attended in elementary, so first grade through sixth grade, approximately. Every single school teacher had a wooden paddle. Some of them would drill holes in the wooden paddle so it hurt you even more. And they would line you up in the hallway and bam, smack you as hard as they could across the ass or the lower back. A wooden paddle. I also went to two different parochial schools growing up, and the nuns there would whack your ass with a wooden ruler right across the top of your knuckles as hard as they could. We allowed that for how long before we decided, that might be abuse. I fondly remember, my fifth grade teacher. He used to have a wooden paddle that had these little marbles that were drilled. They were drilled out, and he put marbles in it so it was more weighted, so he could hit boys and girls with it. I learned not to open super glue, not to break the needle on the record player, and not to empty the contact lens case into the sink. Not to hit my older brother for flying extension cords. Oh, the list. Mike Stevens, I was Protestant, not Catholic abuse here. And when I was younger, my father, when he was alive, we started off Roman Catholic, and then after the Roman Catholic Church in our area closed, we started attending a Catholic church, and we were Catholic up until, well, most of my family still is Catholic, but I'm a non-practicing, Catholic, I guess you could say. No teacher, administrator, etc., would ever hit a child with anything. When I tried my granny hard, although I jumped on the bed, all kinds of mischief. Yeah, I, I'm the person I am today because of my past, and so are you. We lived through it. I drank out of a garden hose and I didn't die. I was out past, dark, and I didn't get kidnapped, or molested by the strange old man down the street. A lot of things that people were worried about today didn't happen. My Catholic teacher had me crying because I formed my number from the inner curve reverse top down. He had me in tears. I'm sorry. Yeah, we survived. We did. We definitely survived it all. Somehow, we're here today, and hopefully, from what we have learned, we're able to make the world a different place and a better place, with not going over the edge to the point where I see some parents who give absolutely zero control. I mean, put any repercussions in line at all. I see them in the grocery store, little kids just walking down the aisle, just knocking off every single cereal box on the aisle because mommy wouldn't buy them that sweetened cereal, that whatever it was, Cocoa Puffs or whatever. We all survived with discipline, being outside and the street lights went on, drinking from water hose, and the world is so different today. It is. I went to a Methodist on Sundays and holidays, and Catholic schools and mass and weekdays. Every one of me and my sisters. I have four sisters, two older, two younger. There's only three of my sisters alive today, and myself. Obviously, I'm alive. But we all took Catholic communion, and my sister, my youngest sister, um, converted to what the hell is it? I want to say it's Baptist. It's like an offshoot of the Baptist church. When she was a teenager, lucky my dad wasn't alive. My dad would have stomped that out in a heartbeat. Catholic teacher disciplined me in front of the whole class at the blackboard. I was so mad, but we got through it though. Somehow we made it through. Never thought of calling anyone on my parents when I was disciplined. Today, you even talk to a kid certain ways, and they threaten to call the cops on you. It's so crazy, right? My son still doesn't understand that you don't call 911 if for just help. He has called the 911 system more times than, not because of discipline or somebody was talking evil to him. He saw it on a video. There's a show of little kids. They're not toddlers anymore, but they were at one point, called Nick and Vlad. Nick and Vlad. And they act out different skits, where they have, they're race car drivers or they're firemen. Well, there's one skit that they did where their mom was trapped and they said, "Oh no, call 911. Mommy's trapped." So my son walked over and dialed 911. That was the first time he did it. Oh boy, they show up in a heartbeat. And he'd done it more than a couple of times since then because he needed help. One time because he dropped his cell phone down the vent, so he dialed 911 from his sister. He calls his sister Sipa because he can't pronounce sister, so it's Sipa. I was supposed to get swatted at school one time, and the teacher gave the other two kids theirs, and I was like, nope. So when I went to swing, I moved the moved and he fell. I got 3 days off instead. Wow, kitty coo, you rebel. I remember my mom talking to me before going into the grocery store. She said if I just had enough money to get what we needed, and if, for me to ask for nothing, she didn't want me to be an embarrassment. We never got to grow in the grocery store when we were children. I'm serious. I think the first time I went into a grocery store, I was probably 15, somewhere in there. I mean, we've had a little corner store that was independently run. It wasn't like a gas station attached. It was just a little corner store. But I used to go there and buy penny candy. If anybody knows what penny candy is. But I used to go there. But we were never allowed to go in the grocery store. Me and my sisters would always stay in the station wagon. We had a Chevy station wagon. It was like a mint green, and it had like that fake wood paneling on it. 1970s, station wagon. But it didn't matter if it was 400 degrees outside. You stayed in that car. You didn't do anything. You stayed there in the car, and you didn't mess with anything. We sometimes we'd feel brazen and turn on the radio. Woohoo! But otherwise, we stayed in that car. Used to send their kids to the store to buy cigarettes. Yeah, I've seen that before. Shoot, my dad didn't hit me, and I wasn't about to let another man do it. You stick to your guns, kitty coo. Anybody raises a hand and in anger to you, you just knock them the hell out. Adults didn't explain anything. Smack and told, suck it up. That's what happens because your kid didn't make sense then, doesn't make sense now. Who is it? The comedian that said it? Was it George Carlin? I brought you in this world, and I'll take you the fuck out. I don't think that was George Carlin because George Carlin almost never swore in his comedy, but it was a comedian, stand-up comic who said that. We called the grocery store. We called it the grocery getter, and yep, never went into the store. Ours was green too. Your station wagon. Penny candy is the life. Little gold foiled chocolate footballs, gobstoppers, Jolly Ranchers, bubble gum. Um, they used to have the little tiny bubble gum. I mean, maybe they still make this, but it was like in a square and it had a little cartoon that was wrapped around. It was like so it was a wrapper, and inside there was an actual little piece of cartoon, that little and about that big, little tiny cartoon. And I used to buy those and Black Jack bubblegum. If anybody remembers Black Jack bubblegum. But that was what I always, I've never been a fan of chocolate. Was it Cosby? Tina says. My mom sent me to the gas station and bought ciggies back in the 80s. We used to go to the little penny little grocery store. I mean, corner store, I guess you'd call it. And you could buy like bread, milk. I think they had eggs. I'm not sure. And it was just a little mom and pop store, and they had maybe 20 different items in there, but they had a whole rack that was nothing but penny candy. For the bottom two racks were nothing but penny candy, and we'd go in and we'd put 5 cents or whatever in pennies that we could find, up on the counter, and he go pick out 4 pieces. So we go over and we'd sit there and just awe at it and pick out 4 pieces of candy. They still sell blackjack bubblegum and clover bubblegum here. Well, that's cool. It was that comedian with the very white smile, gray hair, I think. cartoons on the gum, right? It wasn't on the gum. It was a piece of, so you had the wrapper, and then you had another piece of paper on the inside where they folded a little tiny comic around the actual piece of gum, but the gum was square. Now, the blackjack that we used to buy wasn't in a stick. I know that they still sell the sticks of different gums like that that are nostalgic brands, but they're not the same. But the blackjack that we used to buy, bubble gum, it came in a gum in like a gum ball. It was actually round like a ball, and it was licorice flavored blackjack. Spaceman candy cigarettes. We used to buy candy cigarettes that that they looked a lot like my dad used to smoke Winston cigarettes, and the package of candy cigarettes looked just like Winston's. So I used to always, but those were like 10 or 12 cents or something like that. That felt like $1 million to me when I was a little kid. I mean, I only had like 3 cents, and it took me a while to come up with 3 cents. Bazooka. That's the name of it. Bazooka was the gum, the square with a little tiny cartoon. Thank you. See, Kitty Q, you're extraordinarily helpful. I knew somebody was going to know it. It's Bazooka. Guess that's why I ended up being a smoking unemployed astronaut. Smoke them if you got it. I don't care what people do in their own time, as long as you don't hurt other people. Remember the candy cigarettes? Yeah. But the package on the outside of the little box, cardboard box, it looked just like a pack of Winston's, but it didn't say Winston on them. It had like another name that was but it was all the font and everything else is the same. It looked like Winston's. Our candy cigarettes were Lucky Strikes, looked just like the cigarettes. Yeah, but they had another one it looked like the Winston's too. And my dad put an end to that. I think I bought him maybe once or twice, and he would come home every day from work, and he'd take off his shoes in the little foyer area, put on his house slippers, and then he'd walk into the to the left into the living room area, and he'd sit down on the couch, and me and my sisters used to line up at the doorway for it's a wide open of probably about 7 feet, opening. It's not like there's an actual doorway, but entryway into the living room. And we'd line up there. And my mom would bring him a cup of coffee, and he'd sit there and drink his cup of coffee, and he'd listen to Frank Sinatra, the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. He listened to that kind of music on the hi-fi system. This big giant console, bigger than this damn table. Had a record player, and it had an 8-track, and it had record storage on both ends, and then speakers. It was all one giant thing, weighed like 800 pounds. I don't know. It really was heavy. But he had listened to his record, drink his cup of coffee, and then after he was done with his cup of coffee, we all just rushed in afterwards and ask him how his day was and tell him about our day at school or what we had going on. And Red Hots, I don't remember Red Hots. I wonder what those were like. Tootsie Rolls, Wax Lips, and Coca-Colas. Oh, those are the ones with the liquid in them. I think I remember those. Craving some sour candy. Craving like some Sour Patch Kids or something. And we never had sweets, but unless we went to our grandmother's house. My grandmother always had a dish of that hard ass candy that was on the coffee table. No, it was always the same kind. It was green and white striped, candy. It was hard like a rock, but you could suck on it for a long time. But we never had sweets like that at home. If we ever wanted to get sweets, we'd have to go to the store and get them ourselves. I've not tried any of those sweets you're naming. Mm. So I'm sure that there are other ones in your area, Amelia, that you remember fondly as a child. Boiled sweets. My mom was a teen mom when with me in the 70s, so I grew up with the best music: Beatles, Rolling Stones. Kate, my when I was born, my mom had just she was a month shy of her 18th birthday, a month shy. So growing up in Wisconsin and Minnesota, right near the border, I grew up, immensely, into the music scene of the 1970s. What was not only playing on the radio and stuff like that, but it was so weird because my mom was like into the rock and roll, of the era, Jimi Hendrix, and Zeppelin and stuff like that, Three Dog Night, that was the kind of music my mom listened to. But then as soon as my dad came home, I never heard music except for when he played it. Pretty cool colors, hard candies and crystal jars. Oh, like rock candy, peach rings, sours, and sweets. Boiled sweets, barley, sugars, and are nice. Same with Werther's originals. Werther's, my grandmother used to eat Werther's. She'd pop one of those things in her mouth and suck on them for hours. Werther's. I don't remember my grandfather or my great grandfather died when I was 8 or 9, and like a year and a half after that is when my father passed. Remember the orange marshmallow candy they called peanuts? Uh, I don't remember them from when I was younger, but I saw them last year for Halloween. My son actually got them. They're individually packaged in like cellophane. He got them in his Easter basket, not Easter basket, but in his Halloween basket, trick or treating. Last year was the first time that we were able to actually get my son to go trick or treating, and that was a major accomplishment because again, going back to his um, not wanting to talk to people, and trying to get him. We took him to to family friends that he occasionally knows, and then trying to get him to say trick or treat or say something other than just walk up to a door and hold open a basket and say give me candy or not say nothing at all. But last year was a major step in that direction. Mom and dad had a VW bus, and they were hippies with all the crowd, and all their crowd was. My wife, Kate, has a 1965 Volkswagen Beetle that sits in our, well, I guess it's a bug, and it's in our driveway. My mother-in-law, she had a 64 with the ragtop sunroof, pop-out rear windows. My wife's dad, so he has a one he lives down in Eugene, and his is like fully restored to the point where you can take it to car shows and stuff like that. My buddy who lives down, he just moved to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I guess they consider him an expat. He has a couple of buses. They're not 16 windows Volkswagens buses, but he's got a couple of later ones, like 70s buses that he has down there with him. And he took down to Mexico. They still make a lot of Volkswagen parts down in Mexico, in case anybody's ever looking for them. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up this morning's chat there. I want to again thank everyone for hanging in there and putting up with with what's going on with this channel for this content for the Saturday morning coffee brew. While I figure it all out, I'll figure it out in short order. It's not going to be like a long term issue. We're not going to have it every Saturday. I do not believe we will have it next Saturday, though. So that's what I'm looking at right now. But anyways, everyone, And on the way out, if you'll give us a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And I hope that everyone has an awesome day today. And if you can't catch tomorrow's live stream where we play trivia, tomorrow trivia, Sunday's trivia is on the Briley brothers. Um, a, yeah, that is not just one, not two, but three brothers who were all serial killers. And they were known as the Briley Gang. But tomorrow is trivia. If you've never played trivia with us, it's live, multiple choice questions. There's 20 questions that are displayed on the screen. And A, B, C, or D. You don't have to keep score. You can use whatever you want to answer the questions or just guess E. We have quite a few people here who are awesome at guessing E for, the Jersey Shore or mountain lions, or we make fun of Barry Morphew or whatever, goes for, E as the answer. But I hope to see, you all tomorrow for trivia night. Again, that is at the same time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's 7 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States, 5 o'clock Mountain. So in the meantime, everyone, have an awesome day today and stay safe out there. Bye.